Hola, mi gente. MsMalcolmHughes here. Welcome back. Today, I am coming to discuss one of the coolest literary awards. And I say that because these awards aren't nominated by authors or publishing houses, but these awards are nominated by librarians from across the world. So let's get into the award that I'm talking about. Today, I wanted to come to discuss the Dublin Literary Award shortlist. Like I said, these awards are nominated by librarians from across the world. It's for books that are written or translated into English, and I wanted to come and share their shortlist. They had a ton of books on their long list. I just couldn't get to it. I didn't have the time, but I did want to come discuss the shortlist because I think these books are always very unique. And then also the winner is always a book that is really surprising. So I wanted to come and discuss it here with all of you. So let's get right into it. So the first book that I want to discuss is titled Haven by Emma Donoghue. And here's the description. In 7th century Ireland, a scholar and priest called Art has a dream telling him to leave the sinful world behind. Taking 2 monks, young Treon and old Cormac, he rows down the River Shannon in search of an isolated spot on which to find a monastery. With only faith to guide them and drifting out into the Atlantic, the 3 men find an impossibly steep, bare island inhabited by tens of thousands of birds and claim it for God. In such a place, what will survival mean? What they find is the extraordinary island now known as Skellig Michael. And so this book does sound interesting, though a little voyeuristic and colonial in nature, like colonizing in nature, in the sense that they find this island, it only has birds, but we don't know if there have been inhabitants there, if there are inhabitants there. We don't know who it belongs to, but then to say that we're going to claim it for God is very interesting. Now, I like the boundary pushing aspect of it. Don't know if it's one that I would get to in the near future, but it definitely is an interesting one for sure. And that's the thing about books, right? Might not always find them to be like my speed, but they can definitely still be worthwhile. So our next book, which I've seen floating around on a few lists, honestly, is If I Survive You by Jonathan Escoffery. And here's what it's about. In the 1970s, Topper and Sonia flee to Miami as political violence consumes their native Kingston. But America, as the couple and their 2 children learn, is far from the promised land. Excluded from society as Black immigrants, the family pushes on first through Hurricane Andrew and later the 2008 recession. But even as things fall apart, the family remains motivated by what their younger son calls the exquisite, racking compulsion to survive. Pulsing with vibrant lyricism and sly commentary, Escoffery's debut unravels what it means to be in between homes and cultures in a world at the mercy of capitalism and white supremacy. It's so funny how you have one that's like kind of colonialistic in nature and kind of colonizing in nature, and then you have the next one who's like fighting against white capitalism and patriarchy. But like I said, I've seen this one floating around on a few different lists. So I definitely hope to get to it in the future. It sounds interesting, like it's always just something to reflect upon, the idea of the American dream, the ideal that people think they're going to come to, and then being faced with that reality and the challenges they're in. So it's definitely one that I hope to read. Next up, we have Old God's Time by Sebastian Barry. So retired policeman Tom Kettle is enjoying the quiet of his new home in Dalkey, overlooking the sea. His peace is interrupted when 2 former colleagues turn up at his door to ask about a traumatic decades-old case, a case that Tom never came to terms with. His peace is further disturbed by a young mother who asks for his help. And what of Tom's wife, June, and their 2 children? A beautiful, haunting novel, Old God's Time is about what we live through, what we live with, and what will survive us. That is a good description. That made me want to read it for sure. Even though it sounds as if it's a topic that's not necessarily new or hasn't been done in books and film. But I like the idea of things haunting us in life because I find that it's true. It can be very true in life, the things that haunt us. But then also, some people choose not to look back because they don't want those things haunting them. And it seems as if this is someone who was trying to do that, but then the past caught up with him anyway. And so I'm actually very intrigued to see where that story goes and whether or not this book might be a winner. I'm very curious about that, but we'll see. Let's continue. So our next book on the short list is Praiseworthy by Alexis Wright. Here's what the book is about. In a small town in northern Australia dominated by a haze cloud, a craved visionary sees donkeys as the solution to the global climate crisis and the economic dependency of the Aboriginal people. His wife seeks solace from his madness in the dance of moths and butterflies. One of their sons, called Aboriginal Sovereignty, is determined to commit suicide. The other, Tomahawk, wishes his brother dead so that he can pursue his dream of becoming white and powerful. Praiseworthy is a novel which pushes allegory and language to its limits, a cry of outrage against oppression and disadvantage, and a fable for the end of days. Wow. That was powerful, just reading that. And then the title, Praiseworthy. Wow. Yeah, that's definitely getting added to my cart, to my TBR for certain. Wow. I think Aboriginals in Australia, something that doesn't get, I don't think we talk about them enough, and just the impact of everything on them. I think, wow, I really want to read that. I really want to learn more. I know it's something that I don't know enough about. And so even though this is fiction, one thing I love about it is you can use fiction to tell any story, but then also when you read something that's fiction, it can inspire you to go do your own research and become knowledgeable on real life topics that may have influenced the fictional work. So definitely one, wow, that I'm adding to my TBR, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it as a winner just based on the description for sure. So if the book lives up to the description, I think it's a contender. All right, our next book on the short list is Solnoid by Mircea Cartarescu. And here's what it's about. Based on Cartarescu's own role as a high school teacher, Solenoid begins with the mundane details of a diarist's life and quickly spirals into a philosophical account of life, history, philosophy, and mathematics. On a broad scale, the novel's investigations of other universes, dimensions, and timelines reconcile the realms of life and art. The novel is grounded in the reality of late 1970s, early 1980s communist Romania, including long lines for groceries, the absurdities of the education system, and the misery of family life. Combining fiction with autobiography and history, Solenoid ruminates on the exchanges possible between the alternate dimensions of life and art within the communist present. Definitely an interesting one. I feel as if I see a little bit of a theme or a consistent thread, and that's dealing with life and family and the complexities they're in and the challenges. And yeah, I feel like that's where we're going with this. And this does seem to be another very interesting one. So we'll see where this one lands. And so next up, we have, no matter where this one lands, what I think is the most beautiful cover of the bunch. And that is The Sleeping Car Porter by Suzette Meyer. Here's the description. It's 1929, and Baxter, I think Baxter is such a great name, and Baxter is considered lucky, as a Black man, to have a job as a porter on a train that crisscrosses the continent. He has to smile and nod for the white passengers when they call him George. He's obsessed with teeth and saving up tips for dentistry school. On this trip, the passengers are unruly, especially when the train is stranded for days. Their secrets leak out, blurring with Baxter's sleep deprivation hallucinations. When he finds an illicit postcard of two men, Baxter's longings are reawakened. Keeping it puts his job in peril, but he can't part with it or his memories of a certain porter instructor. Okay. Not where I thought we were going with the picture or the title, but interesting nonetheless. Not sure if I'd rush to read it, but definitely one that I may pick up in the future. But yeah, those are our 6 books that have been nominated or shortlisted for the Dublin Literary Art Award. They've made the shortlist. We will find out who the winner is closer to the end of May. So I will hopefully circle back and let you all know. But I do think there are some some great books here. I think the ones that I will be quicker to read are If I Survive You, Praiseworthy, maybe Solenoid. Yeah, I think those 3. But overall, great selections. I hadn't heard of 5 of the 6, so I love being exposed to new books and new writers. And with that, let me know in the comments what y'all are reading. Again, it could be something I haven't been exposed to. And I know I come and tell y'all about books, but I love to hear what you all are reading and to see if it's something that I should add to my own collection or at least put it on my reading list. But that's it for me, y'all. Let me know if you've read these books. Let me know if you plan on reading these books. Which one do you think is the strongest contender? Let me know all of this in the comment section below. But that's it for me. Until next time, I am MsMalcolmHughes, one who believes that books are sometimes better than people. And until the next one, please remember to give time, to be kind to each other, and to have the very best day of your life on purpose. Peace. Odabo. Adios. Ciao.